What's up, guys? Got another interesting story for you. Just doing some bonus content, a little bit of an extra before I'm out of the country for a while, and wanted to break down some of the hard boiled news that I've been coming across over the last few weeks. And this surprising story has not been garnering more attention. Rather, I'm surprised this crazy story has not been garnering more attention. And that is the fact that due to an insane, unnecessary Trump policy that he's just been throwing around, Ozempic prices are about to surge even higher than they already are. For people who don't understand, Ozempic is not just something that people in Hollywood take to get skinny. It's something that helps thousands and thousands of regular Americans combat things like heart disease. They're even finding that Ozempic can be linked to helping people stave off alcohol cravings when they're going through withdrawals and helping people stay on track when they're, trying to deal with recovery of addiction. It has all kinds of benefits, and the reason we don't see more people using it outside of those elite Hollywood circles is because of the cost. Guys, in London, England, it's $88 to get your Ozempic if you need it. Now, that's a lot of money, right? $88 certainly isn't cheap. Guess how much it costs in America already before this insane, unnecessary Donald Trump policy? It's $1,200 a dose, guys. It's absolutely insane. It's unaffordable. Something has to be done about it. And we're moving in the wrong direction with this policy. I'm going to read from The Hill a little bit, talking about why this issue with Denmark is going to be so consequential for the price of Ozempic. And then we're going to read a little bit about some of the people who are going to be directly affected by this surge in pricing when they're just simply not going to be able to have access to this medication that they absolutely need. So let's take a look here. President elect Trump's threat to tariff Denmark if it resists his acquisition plans for the territory of Greenland could disrupt one export that is wildly popular in America: Ozempic. Trump added Denmark to his growing list of tariff targets, including Canada, Mexico, and China, as he has increasingly spoken of the U.S. taking Greenland off of Denmark's hands. We call that imperialism, okay? Most countries don't like it if you just go and take their territory off their hands. How would we like it if Spain came back and was like, you know what, guys? I think we'd actually like to have Puerto Rico and Guantanamo Bay back. We don't think you guys are dealing with it right. The United States, we'd have a problem with that, right? So Denmark's got a problem with that too. Danish multinational pharmaceutical giant Novo Nordisk is the sole owner of semaglutide, the active ingredient in both Ozempic and Wegovy. A month's supply of Ozempic is close to $1,000 without insurance. It's actually closer to $1,200 in some instances, depending on where you buy it. Though a manufacturer coupon and patient assistant programs are available sometimes, but not to everybody. Novo Nordisk was estimated to be responsible for half of Denmark's gross domestic product growth in 2024. According to census data available through November, pharmaceutical products accounted for roughly 30% of Danish imports coming in through U.S. ports in 2024. Polling from KAFF last year found that 1 in 8 adults said they've tried a GLP-1 drug like Ozempic. That is a huge portion of the population, guys. And let me tell you, a lot more people would be using it if it didn't have that hefty price tag. Let's say it is $1,000 a month, but I've heard instances where it's documented more than that, closer to 1,200 in America, due to scarcity, due to import fees, due to all kinds of stuff. Well, they'll call it free market capitalism. It will take medication you need, make it more expensive, right? We can't have that. We cannot have the financial profit motive when it comes to medication, when it comes to keeping our countrymen healthy, right? That seems natural, but with 1 in 8 adults using it as it stands now, it's putting a tremendous financial burden on them, and it's going to put an even bigger one. So it's a double-edged sword, right? Not only is it going to put a financial burden on the people who can maybe just barely afford it now, but it's also going to make it even further and further into the realm of impossibility for a lot of folks who most desperately need it, right? We have to talk about the socioeconomic impact of obesity in America. A lot of people in America have a very pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of approach to it, that I'm going to finger wag and shame people who are obese. Most of the time, it just comes down to socioeconomic circumstances. A lot of times it comes down to the food sources that you're relying on. A lot of times it comes down to, are you in a food desert, right? And we can concentrate that. We can see that the less income you make, the more likely you are to be obese in America for all kinds of factors that we don't have time to delve into right away in this video. But let's keep reading. Novo Nordisk spokesperson would not address the tariff threat directly, saying, "We will follow the situation closely. However, we will not comment on hypotheticals and speculations. The geopolitical landscape in today's world is very dynamic, and we remain focused on our commitment to deliver life-saving medicines to the patients we serve." Yeah, at a hefty cost, by the way. And again, the only reason pharmaceutical companies from other countries and our own country, right, are able to get away with this is because of the laws that we put in place that allow it, right? There's a reason why it's $88, $80, whatever the hell it is to get Ozempic in London. And that's because they have a nationalized healthcare system. That's because the government is negotiating with these pharmaceutical brands. That's what we need to be doing in our country. We have so much buying power in America. We have so many people in America who want to have access to this. We can negotiate a wholesale price and then pass that cost saving mechanism onto the consumers instead of passing it on to the insurance agencies, instead of passing it on to pharmaceutical companies, right? We have the power to do that in our country as well. We're choosing not to. And on top of that, our deranged president is choosing to fan the flames, choosing to make the situation worse. And I saw an article this morning in Politico that made me inspired to make this video. And it said, "Diet drug boom weighs heavily on state budgets," which is just crazy to me, guys. In the United States, we have the power to give everybody health insurance. We have the power to negotiate collectively. Bernie Sanders made that abundantly clear when he launched his presidential bid over a decade ago, right? He really laid it out. We remember the studies from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. We remember the long policy debates that occurred. It was made apparent to us that because we're a competent country, because we're not worse than France, we're not worse than Finland, we're not worse than half of the developed countries in the world, we too can have a nationalized healthcare system, right? We could solve all these problems, excuse me, but we're choosing not to. So let's read in and see what kind of ramifications that's having on our society, and maybe we can rethink things in the future. Let's read on. So this is Colorado, and this was a great policy by Colorado, by the way. Colorado's spending on highly effective but costly weight loss drugs for state workers more than quadrupled from 2023 to 2024, and costs have been doubling every 6 weeks. Now, the state wants to scrap the benefit, arguing that it's financially unsustainable. But the potential removal of the popular benefit has sparked blowback among state workers. The state's employees union argues ending coverage will cost the health plan in other ways, increasing spending on obesity-related diseases and leading to a less healthy workforce. State employees are very upset about this, said Hillary Glasgow, executive director of the union Colorado Wins. Long-term obesity drives a lot of the major fatal diseases in America, and the employees I've talked to feel like they're losing a lifeline that got thrown to them because, of course, they have been. Because they would have never been able to afford $1,200 a month, $1,000 a month, $800 a month on medication that will make them live longer, that will make them live healthier, happier, make it easier for them to have joyous time with their families, to take care of their families longer, right? These are all things that the state should be investing in. This is a good thing for Colorado to do that. Let's talk about why it's costing them so much. One, because obesity is a ginormous problem in America. It's a ginormous problem in America, guys. And it's a problem in America, excuse me, we don't do a good job addressing because we internalize the guilt for it. People who suffer from being fat, people who suffer from all kinds of issues that result in them being overweight, you put that all on your own shoulders, right? Our society tells us to. We have to. They'll be like, see, there's a skinny guy. He lives in the same world as you. Now, see, it's your fucking fault. When in reality, it's not. All of our bodies respond to things differently. All of our circumstances are different. And yeah, guess what? All of us have different vices. I smoke a ton of pot, so I'm a little skinnier. Okay. If I had a hobby that was eating chips, I might be just as good off down the road, but I would look a little fatter than somebody else, right? So it doesn't even really it's not speaking to any kind of character flaw, right? This is a societal issue, and we can reinforce that by understanding this is a huge problem. That's why so many people want to take advantage of Ozempic. And I'm here to tell you that the one way we address this problem is not by forcing one state of Colorado to go bankrupt because they're trying to give people access to life-saving medication. And it's sure as shit not by creating a trade war with Denmark because we want to take over and colonize Greenland, which really shouldn't even belong to Denmark either. There's an indigenous population of Greenland, and we should let them decide what their future holds. And I guarantee you they would not decide to be a part of freaking America. But I digress, guys. We have a lot of real human impact that's going on right now when it comes to these trade wars. This is a specific instance right here that I wanted to take a look at because a lot of Americans rely on Ozempic. A lot of Americans need it. A lot more Americans should have access to it, right? Instead of understanding it as something that's for like Hollywood elite who just want to, for their own vanity, look skinnier. We need to be understanding it as a incredible advance in medicine. And while we should always be skeptical and say, hey, what are the long-term consequences of this? Is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? Right now, the evidence we have says yes for a lot of people, and we need to make sure that everybody has equitable access to these life-saving miracle drugs that we're going to get exposed to in the 21st century. That's what makes our country great. That's how we can actually get back on the right track, as Donald Trump likes to say, and it doesn't have a damn thing to do with the current plans he has. We need to force him to change course. We need to force him to say, hey, we need cheaper drugs in this country, Donald. I don't know. You like to stroke yourself off. You like to hear your name in the news. Make that a reality, and you're going to hear a lot of Americans that are very happy with you. Make it Ozempic more accessible, not less accessible with your tariff policy. Anyway, that's it from me today. Just a little bonus guard episode. I'm trying to drop a few more news clips every week while I'm gone and in the lead up to the time that I'm gone. So appreciate everybody. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is Casa del Vanguard, bonus content from the Vanguard channel. Make sure to check that out as well. Peace out.